guys, welcome to this week's video devotional from Tube Church. A couple of months ago I was talking to somebody where I was letting them know about my calling into youth ministry and sharing a little bit about my faith, and this person that I was talking to shared with me that they had grown up going to youth group, and that was something that they really enjoyed. But as they got older, they started to walk away from Christianity, and the reason that they shared with me that they did that was because when they were at church, they would feel God's presence pretty strongly. And when they would walk away from church and go home and get back into the everyday routines of their life, they wouldn't feel that presence of God quite as strongly. And because of that, over time, they kind of walked away from Christianity and walked away from the church, and really caused them to question if the church was really true, if Christianity was true, if God even exists. And that is something that I want to focus on today, is the whole idea of the truth of and the reality of, does God exist? Is God real? It's a question that we all look at and we all wonder at some point in our life, and it's a question that we have to deal with. And so often it's easy for us to look at our feelings and allow our feelings to affect whether or not we think God is real. And you know, sometimes when we're at church, we have these spiritually high emotional moments where we experience God very strongly, and we experience God in a way that maybe we haven't before. And when we leave that experience, we sometimes go home and just like the person I was talking to, we go back into our daily routines, and our feelings change, and those emotional highs that we were on and spiritual highs that we were on come down and become a low. And not to say that you're not as passionate about God or as on fire, but your emotions change and the feelings of the moment kind of fade. And with that, sometimes we feel that God fades. And when that happens, it causes some of us to really question and wonder, does God exist? Is God real? Because I don't feel Him when I'm not at church. And so that's what I want to look at today. Should we allow our feelings to determine if God is real or not real? And one of the ways I want to look at that today is I want to read a passage from Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, which says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it?" And really what that verse is talking about is the idea that our heart is deceitful. You know, when we look at our feelings and evaluate the reality of a situation based on our feelings, that our heart is going to deceive us. You know, our real true to earth gut instincts at times are going to completely deceive us because our feelings change so often throughout the day. At my job, I work with kids who have psychiatric needs at a residential treatment facility, and when we're there, one of the things we do with them is called a community meeting. We try to do these twice a day because basically it gives us a chance to sit down with the kids, and staff and kids can both share how they're feeling in that moment of the day. Because we acknowledge just like we should acknowledge everywhere, that our feelings are going to change throughout the day. Our feelings are not going to be the same in the morning as they are at night. And we obviously go through a whole range of feelings throughout the day. You know, we'll go from waking up in the morning and feeling tired or energized. Some of you might feel more excited about your day as you get out of bed. Some of you may feel anxiety as you're getting ready to go to school or work throughout your day. And sometimes you'll get to work and you'll find you might have a due date on a project that's coming up pretty quick, and you might have some anxiety about getting that done on time. Maybe you get to school and you got an A plus on the last test that you guys had, and that excites you and that makes you very happy and can brighten your day. And we go through these whole range of feelings, and they change constantly throughout the day. You know, and so it's important for us to evaluate our feelings, and whereas our feelings do affect the mood that we're in, and our feelings at times will dictate the choices that we make throughout our day, it's important to not allow those feelings to really dictate our faith, to really dictate whether or not we decide if God is real or not. We understand how our feelings change constantly. And it would be ridiculous for me to make the statement that, I woke up today feeling happy, and now I get to work and I'm really stressed out, and that's kind of, depressing, and so I'm not feeling that happiness that I felt this morning. So that happiness must not have really existed, because now I'm depressed and now I'm sad and stressed out, and I'm feeling this pressure. So whatever I was feeling before was not real, because it's not how I feel now. And I don't think that there's anybody that would agree with the statement that I just made, that because I don't feel something now, it must not have existed. But we do that with God. We look at those spiritually high moments that we feel at church often and say, God is real there, but He's not real outside of church. I don't feel God outside of church. And so because of that, He really must not exist. It must be something that I feel only at church because I get caught up in the moment. And so what I want to do is encourage you guys with a verse from 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13, that says, "If we are faithless, He will remain faithful, for He cannot disown Himself." And really that verse promises us that God will be faithful and will still exist even when we don't have faith that He's there. Because the great thing about it is God's existence is not contingent upon our faith in Him. Just because we don't believe God exists doesn't mean that He doesn't. God is always there. God exists whether we believe in Him or not, whether we have faith that He is there or not. And if you're one of those people that really relates to the story I was sharing earlier, where you feel like God existed at church for you, but when you left church you didn't feel that fullness of God, or that experience where God was with you, then I would really encourage you to do two things. First would be to have a conversation with God, because getting to know God is just like getting to know anybody else in our lives. We have friends, and we get to know our friends because we have conversations with them. We share experiences with those people. And so God works exactly the same way. So to really have a conversation with God, what we have to do is pray and talk to Him. Because really that's what prayer is. It's us going to God and talking to God. And so it's important for us to have that aspect of our relationship where we're talking with God and having a conversation with Him. And when we go to God in prayer, it's important to remember that conversations, just like with our friends and with other people that we know, aren't just a one-way street, that it's actually should work both ways. When you have a conversation with somebody, it's you talking and them talking back, and there's a back and forth exchange there. And that's really what prayer should be as well. Prayer should be a time where we are talking to God, but also allowing Him to talk to us. And the second really is to read the Bible. And whether you believe that it's the Word of God, or you believe that it's something that man has made or put together, I would encourage you to read it and go into it with the understanding that this Bible that we have is really the inspired Word of God, where we get a picture of who God is, and it also gives us a picture of what His heart is for us, and really what He desires for us as people, and really what He desires is for us to be His and to be with Him. And if you guys do those two things, pray and read the Bible, I know that God will be faithful to you and will reveal that He is real, and that He is always there and always available to you, even when you don't feel Him. And if those are the questions you have on your heart, really seek Him out and ask Him those things, and I know that He will be faithful to you.